All right, back with another video. So we have some interesting clips here from Pierre Poilievre, who is just continuing to tear into Mark Carney. He's back at it. Again, people think he should back off. He shouldn't be so much of an attack dog, but he is not listening. He is listening to us, who want him to continue to absolutely terrorize, verbally, of course, Mark Carney. So he's got something here, and before we get into this, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help grow the channel, and I appreciate you guys so much for doing that. So Pierre says, a decade ago, Carney testified that temporary foreign workers prevented Canadian workers from getting raises. Now he says that it's okay because corporate lobbyists prefer cheap foreign labor. Yikes. Mark Carney in 2013, so this is just over a decade ago. Let's see what he's got to say here, and then we'll have a look, and then we'll talk about it after, like usual.
One doesn't want an over-reliance, certainly on temporary foreign workers for lower-skilled jobs, which prevent the wage adjustment mechanism from both improving, making sure that Canadians are paid higher wages, but also that the firms improve their productivity as is necessary. So we don't want to mask it, and as the government's review and as the intent of the review to ensure that this is used for transition for those higher-skilled gaps that do exist and can hold our economies.
Part of what we will be discussing, how well the temporary foreign worker program is working and how our overall immigration system is working. When I talk to businesses around the country, particularly in Quebec, but elsewhere across the country, their number one issue is tariffs, and their number two issue is access to temporary foreign workers.
The agenda changed is what changed. Back in 2013, you could say, this has been going on since the 80s. There's been a plan, but the plan is further in motion now than it was in 2013. It's very obvious that the middle class is disappearing. You can just look at renting prices and then look at how much people are making and go, oh, if this continues, the middle class will be gone, right? In 2013, it was still pretty affordable. It was a cheaper place to live, a safer place to live. Everything was just better in 2013, generally speaking. So a lot of people weren't aware of it. Where now you're seeing this movement, people like me, people like you guys who understand very clearly that there is a plan to change the way Canada has been, and they're going to make it in a more progressive way so that they make it more about social issues. Hey, look guys, we're pro this, we're pro that, and it's like, okay, great. But you got to focus on more important issues, and there's still so many people who they don't care about the high crime. If you look at like Abacus data and what they show, where crime is in terms of top issues, I don't even think it's top 10, and if it is, it's barely in the top 10. Affordability is high because it's a problem for so many people, but again, we've seen this in the last 10 years where it's gone from, okay, you can see the rise back in the earlier 2000s, but in the last 10 years, rent has doubled. It's just doubled. And you could say, well, it was going up under Stephen Harper as well. It was going up, but not at this rate. And you have to think the Conservatives, who are way better financially, would have done something to fix it. And the Liberals, the elitist Liberals, the globalist Liberals, they know it's happening. They just don't care. They want it to happen. And that's why they distract you with all their woke crap, so that you're not focusing on so many of these important things. And that's why they scared you with Trump, because they don't want you thinking about crime and housing affordability and mass immigration. They don't want you to think about that. They want you to think about Trump, and you should be very scared, and he's coming for us. But as you can see, that's clearly fading. Now we have Pierre Poilievre, and this is a funny video. I just had to show you guys this. So this is from the CBC Watcher, and he quotes Pierre Poilievre and says, "My goodness, Carney's almost as busy and as useless as George Costanza." That's a Seinfeld reference. I'll be honest with you, I am not a Seinfeld fan, so I'll just have to take Pierre's word for it here. But I do want to have a look at what he has to say, and then we'll talk about this as usual as well.
Advocate for banning gas-powered vehicles, calling for them to be banned by 2030 in his book, Values, which, by the way, was much more aggressive than Trudeau's plan, to ban them in 2035. He's finally admitted that the Conservatives were right, just like we were right on the carbon tax. But he's doing a clumsy retreat, saying that he's going to delay this mandate. So now businesses who would otherwise consider investing in automaking here in Canada will have to put that investment on hold while Mark Carney dithers for another year to try and figure out how he can ban people from putting gas and diesel in their trucks and cars. Mark Carney can't even get his flip-flops right. But this really has been, as I said yesterday, the Seinfeld summer for Mark Carney, a big show about nothing. You know, I think specifically about George Costanza. You remember George Costanza? He was a legend. George Costanza had this great episode where he had this fancy, high-paying job with a corner office, and he didn't do any work, like literally none, but he wanted to look busy. So he would storm up and down the hallways carrying file folders. He would leave the lights on in his car in front of the office building on the weekend, even though he wasn't there. He would yell into the phone, even though no one was on the other end of the line. And they kept paying him because he looked so busy. I have to admit, Mark Carney has looked really busy this summer. He's been flying off to Europe to sign declarations of intent that actually mean absolutely nothing. He's been holding roundtables with other politicians. You've seen politicians patting each other on the back, congratulating themselves on all the excellent meetings they've been holding. There have been letters written to ministers that then get leaked to media and are reported with great fanfare on front pages everywhere. My goodness, he's almost as busy and as useless as George Costanza. It has been a big show about nothing.
And he's right. I mean, letters of intent, it's exactly that. It's nothing official, but they celebrate it. He built an office, guys. Now we can have meetings about meetings and then talk about talking so that we can eventually get something done. Eventually, maybe one day. And they celebrate it. Now, if I was being bought and paid for by the Liberal government, I guess I would celebrate that too, just like the CBC does. But I'm not. And by the way, for all of you bots out there, I am not being paid by the Conservatives. Trust me. You can see where I live. If you can see how much money I make, trust me, I'm not being paid by anybody. So, just wanted to make that very clear to all of you who seem to be confused on that. But Pierre's right. It's a big show about nothing. He's running around the whole world, continent to continent, country to country, looking as busy as possible. And what's been done? Well, today he did say that they're going to suspend the EV mandate. Well, again, that's pushing something else back, which is good, but it's still not doing anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's running around talking, holding meetings, talking about this, doing this, and then it's like, okay, why are housing startups down? No one expects you to have built all these houses in one summer, but why are the startups down? They're now talking about bail reform, and we need to do this, and we need to do that. And they're holding meetings about it, which you do have to have, but those meetings are being celebrated. It's like, hey, wait a minute. If you want us to celebrate it, we're not going to celebrate a meeting. If you take criminals who hurt people and you put them in jail and keep them there and actually do it, then we'll celebrate. But we're not going to celebrate just on your word. We all know you're just saying it to try to get some of the popularity back. They see, the Liberals are panicking a little bit right now. They see the polling numbers. They see like legitimate pollsters who have it either very close or the Conservatives slightly ahead. They don't want an election when they're behind, of course. No one does. So they're going to say things and placate us. And, don't worry, guys, we're going to do all these good things. But then what I have to wonder is, all these people who voted for these things, doesn't that piss you off? Liberals? Or do you just defend them because you're on Team Liberal and you just want your team to win, even though it's destroying the country? It's unbelievable, but that's the modern liberal mind. It's, as long as my team won and we paint the sidewalks with rainbows and I don't care about anything else, I don't care about crime or immigration or housing. Pierre Poilievre's too mean. They're going to get rid of abortion, which they can't. But that's what they think. Why? Because they're not very smart. But we all knew that.